Good night to some of you. Good evening to others. And good morning to some. We are living in very interesting times. People are experiencing different forms of expectations. Some are celebrating, others are doubting, some are weeping, some are lamenting. Very interesting times. Yesterday, the Secretary General of Ambazonia Governing Council put out a statement officially disclosing the new partnership between the Ambazonia Governing Council and a legal firm in Washington, D.C. to represent the interest of Ambazonia Governing Council and the Ambazonian people. The world is changing. Every successful organization must rapidly change, adjust, and adapt to current realities. Those who fail to change will be left behind. In the international system, there are rapid dynamic changes that are taking place from the east to the west. No one expected that Mr. Trump and Trumpism will return to the White House. Europe is in panic. The East is in panic. Even Canada, it's in panic. The people of Greenland are in panic. The people in Panama are in panic. There seems to be a lot of uncertainty. You don't have to worry about that. You only have to be smart. You only have to understand what all of this means. You only have to understand what this is about. You only have to understand, you have to anticipate where change is going so that you can be at the forefront of change and you can benefit from change. As for us, the Amazonian people, we are caught in between the tipping points and the moving systems of the globe. That's why the Ambazonia Governing Council is at the forefront of these things. We study, we do research, we consult with the best experts in the world where change is going, where the dynamics are moving towards, where the momentum is shifting towards. It doesn't matter who you like. If the person you like no longer have influence, if the politician, if the political party you like is no longer in control of things, maybe they were in control of things in the past. They are no longer in control of things. They will not be in control of things tomorrow and in the next 4 years. You better adjust your strategy. It's not about who you like. It's about how do you adjust yourself to make sure you win. It's not about who we like. It's about how do we understand the dynamics, the changing geopolitical structure in the world, and how do we make sure that we pivot and adjust ourselves to make sure that we achieve what we want for our people. This is what being smart is all about. This is what strategic diplomacy is all about. The Ambazonia Governing Council is a dynamic organization. We are constantly changing and adjusting to current world realities. That's what it takes to win. Those that cannot change because they cannot anticipate change, because they can't see what's coming, will always be left behind. In our struggle, there are so many voices and there are so many actors. Why is it that people that are out here, they have complete freedom? They have food, they sleep in comfortable beds. It's winter time in most part of the globe, and they live in very warm and comfortable conditions. They have access to constant and free internet called Wi-Fi. Why is it that those people, instead of to spend their time to unite, to encourage, to support, they spend their time castigating others, insulting even those that are in prison? And then you find those that are in prison are the ones that are showing the qualities of true leadership. Those that are in prison are the ones that are more resilient, are the ones that are showing a level of defiance like we've never seen before. What is the difference? Why would someone with absolute freedom, with complete freedom, spend their time to demonize even those that are in jail? And you find those that are in jail, are the one that are showing compassion, that are showing empathy, are the ones that are expressing a sense of nationalism, are the ones that are calling for unity, are the ones that are sending out messages of comfort. Why is it so? Why is it so? I am curious. Why is it that when we achieve a significant victory, something that will pull Ambazonians forward, something that will move our people forward, why is it that you find the same people time and again, they're coming out to tell you, oh, it's not true. Oh, they are lying to you. Oh, don't believe them. Oh, here they are again. Why is it so? What is the difference? What is the difference between these losers and a leader like someone like Mancho BBC? What is the difference? Between these gutter hole politicians or gutter politicians or gutter activists and someone like a Penterence? What is the difference? Today, I want to tell you a story. The Guardian newspaper sent a team of journalists to La République du Cameroon to conduct an interview with Ambazonian leaders in jail, to conduct an interview with Ambazonian leaders. Some of them have been sentenced to life imprisonment. Some have been sentenced to 15 years. They went down to La République. I don't know if you've read that piece of article. It's very touching, but it's also very moving. And that's why we are making this broadcast tonight. It's about 3 a.m. in Ground Zero. Some people are just waking up, some are going to bed right now. And for those of you in North America, in Eastern Standard Time, it's about 9:15 p.m. I feel compelled when I read that piece of article in the Guardian newspaper. I was extremely touched by who these brave men and women in prison are. The level of faith they have, their belief about who we are as a people, their conviction and certainty about the freedom and independence of Amazonia, about the future of our children, about what Amazonia is going to look like. That's why I want to have this conversation with you tonight. Let's start with Mancho BBC. Mancho BBC, like most Ambazonians, was born under conditions of terrorism. Mancho BBC, like every other Ambazonian, was born under conditions of oppression and occupation. was born under conditions of injustice, of dehumanization, of constant abuse by the occupying regime in Yaoundé and their terrorist occupation forces and their colonial administrators. Mancho grew up asking himself, why is it that we are so rich, but we live in such horrible conditions? What happened to our system of education? What happened to our system of law? What happened to our system of progressive economic development? What happened to our industries? What happened to our businesses? What happened to our roads? What happened to the quality of drinking water we used to have? How come our people don't even have reliable source of water supply? How come the roads, even in our urban cities, have not been paved? He looked around and realized the source of the problem and realized the cause of the problem. He became a journalist, most likely to study the trends of these events, the development of these events, the unfolding of these events. Let me pull up my files. Let's get to it. This will be very interesting. In November 2016, Mancho BBC, like every other Amazonian, said, I can't take it anymore. This is too much. I must do something. There's a force, a spirit, a calling, a power that spoke to him to do something, to be a leader for change, to be a catalyst to engineer the change that will usher in a new era for the liberation of Amazonia. Took a coffin to a crowded street and launched the coffin revolution in 2016. Mancho BBC is a journalist and an activist. In November 2016, Mancho BBC took the coffin to a runabout in Bamenda to denounce the social and economic injustice inflicted on his people. He said, because of the 60 years of frustration, because of 60 years of frustration of Cameroon's occupation of southern Cameroons. That is what sparked my activism. The idea of using the coffin came about spontaneously. It wasn't planned. Like all great ideas, they are always spontaneous. That is the story of a young man he didn't do that because he wanted to show how much courage he has. He didn't do it because he wanted to be popular. He understood there is risk and he was ready to pay the price. I've always wanted positive change wherever I found myself. I have been a freedom fighter all my life. I have never regretted it, and I will never regret my actions. That is someone that's in jail, showing total defiance, total courage, faith, like David. Then he said, what is it? I'm the first person who started the Amazonian revolution. And I'll do it again. And I'll do it over and over and over again if the opportunity shows up. I'm ready to die for freedom. That's Mancho BBC. And I will do it over and over and over and over and over again if the opportunity shows up. I'm ready to die for the freedom of my people. Contrast this to the cowards that are out here. That's someone in jail. Contrast that level of leadership, that level of foresight, that level of commitment. You know his sleeping conditions? Do you even know how they eat or what they eat? Do you even know if they have clothes to wear? Do you know? Or a bar of soap to bathe? Do you know? Contrast this mindset of someone who's in jail to the cowards that are out here ranting and insulting leaders that are paying the price for our people. Contrast that. You see the difference? Because the cowards that are out here, because of free internet, they are out to seek for fame. They want to be popular. They're not driven because they care about the liberation struggle. It's a platform for people that have nothing for themselves. And so social media become a means to achieve significance, to be important, to gain fame. And so they are gaining this attention on social media because people are watching the garbage they spew out. And they associate the views to being significant. So they do more of it. Not knowing that the only people they are destroying are themselves. While Mancho is in jail, talking to international press, Mancho is not talking about himself. Mancho is talking about the future. Mancho is talking about resistance. Mancho is talking about defiance. Mancho is saying we are going to be free. We will continue fighting until we are free. That's someone in jail. You see why he's a leader? Because that's the mindset of a leader. That's why the Guardian Post sent journalists from Europe and America to travel to La République, to travel to Cameroon, to interview Ambazonian leaders in jail. Why did they not go and interview the cowards that are out here making noise? Because they are cowards. You all remember how the liberation was in 2017? You witnessed this transformation. You had a consortium that wanted to discuss with the government about requesting for some social changes in the structure of our educational system and our legal system. Things fell apart, right? Tassan succeeded to escape. Bala made different decisions. Ambazonia had conclaves upon conclaves. And a leader showed up. Ayuk Tabe Julius showed up through the processes of Skakuf and eventually the governing council, which was transformed into the IG. Siseko Ayuk Tabe showed up, mobilized our people more than any time before, and proclaimed the restoration of independence to the Amazonian people. Proclaimed the restoration of Amazonia. he opened a new chapter, redefined the path and the future. That bold move changed the trajectory of Ambazonian liberation struggle. People have different opinion. We leave that to historians. For us, we're focusing on how that action contributed significantly to drive the liberation quest for the Amazonian people. And we must give leaders the credit for their contribution. And today, he's paying the ultimate price for his decisions and the actions he took on behalf of the Amazonian people. Eventually, the Cameroon government, with conspiracy of Nigerian secret intelligence services, arrested Siseko Ayuk Tabe on the Naira 10 after months of doubts as to their whereabouts. They found themselves in Yaoundé. Siseko Ayuk Tabe was sentenced to life imprisonment and was asked to pay a fine of 273 billion CFA, which is $428 million. Here's what he said. Ambazonia's detainees in this prison feed themselves twice a day. Listen to this. Ambazonian detainees in this prison, which is the principal prison where he is, they feed themselves. They feed themselves twice, thanks to the generosity of our relatives and friends. We don't consume anything offered by the Cameroon colonial government called prison official, except the water we use for bathing. Ambazonian detainees, they feed themselves twice a day. How did they get this food? For 7-8 years, as a caring people who came from a caring culture, we have survived by looking after and taking care of each other. Our people are very generous. Our people in La République du Cameroon, on a weekly basis, on a daily basis, they make provisions to take care of our brothers and sisters that have been detained. They sustain them. That's how they've stayed alive. Imagine if these cowards that are out here making noise on social media, imagine if they transform that toxic energy, this destructive energy, this poisonous energy, imagine they transform those energies into constructive energies to mobilize humanitarian resources to feed our prisoners. You see, when they do that, they will gain positive significance without the negative and destructive side effect. When they do that, they will gain divine favor because of the contribution they are making towards life. Life gives to those that are given to life. Life takes care of those that are taking care of God's children. Life's favor those that are doing the greatest good for a community, for a society, for an organization, or humanity as a whole. But obviously, you know that these cowards out here, they are low life slop. They are still operating at a primitive energy system to feed their very tiny egos. They don't understand the meaning of life, the purpose of life, and what it takes to serve and do something meaningful. That's the difference between the leaders and the cowards and noisemakers and recruited La Republique Weaverbirds out here. So they ask Ayuk Tabe, what do you want us to tell your people? What message do you have for your people? Here's what he said. Very interesting. Tell them that we will go to Boya, whether Mr. Bia likes it or not. Listen to it. A journalist asks Siseko Ayuk Tabe, what do you want us to tell your people out there? Tell them we will go to Boya, whether President Bia likes it or not, come rain or shine. Tell them to take care of the needy, of the struggle, families who have lost loved ones, the internally displaced, the refugees, those in detention, and not forgotten, the heroes of the struggle, the men and women who have opted to fight for our freedom. That's a message coming from prison, a message of hope, a message of faith. That is a leader seeing the future. That's a leader seeing what's happening outside. That's a leader seeing what's happening on the ground, what's happening in the international community. That's a leader seeing the work that we are doing and the work the fighters are doing. He's in jail. He sees it. He knows it. He knows the end of Cameroon's occupation is coming. And it is his responsibility to whisper to his people, victory is near. That's a leader transferring the faith in his heart to his people. Hold on. Be resilient. Don't give up. Victory is near. Tell them that we will go to Boya, whether President Bia likes it or not. Because the ultimate determining factor is the Ambazonian people and their commitment, and not Cameroon. Because we are in charge. Oh, what a spirit. Then, here's what he said next. Before any court in Cameroon all Southern Cameroonians have a life sentence reserved for them just because of who they are. Having a life sentence under the occupation system is not because you are born under conditions of occupation, or it's not because you go to prison to be sentenced for life imprisonment. The mere fact that you are born as an Ambazonia, you live under an open prison under the occupation system. And he says, before any court in Cameroon, all Southern Cameroonians have a life sentence reserved for them just because of who they are. We are taking one to our nation, and we pray it should be the last for all Southern Cameroonians. He says, look, we will be the last generation to ever go through this, so that our children and the children yet unborn will never, ever, ever experience this again. And he asked, how can civilians be charged and sentenced in military courts? Oh, he's asking Western journalists. He's giving them perspective of what our people are going through and why he's in jail. The pain and the conditions under which our people live through because of Cameroon imposed occupation on our people. That's the spirit of resilience, that is the spirit of defiance, that a man with conviction about who he is as an Ambazonia. He said, we have an obligation, dead or alive. It's right there. We have an obligation, dead or alive, to bequeath to our children a nation that they can call theirs, something we've been deprived of for far too long. We have a responsibility to pass on to the next generation something much more better, a free homeland, a nation full of abundance, a nation where our people can live with dignity, where there is no terrorism, where the military is not used as terrorist forces, where the police are not used by the governing system as terrorist forces, where the justice system is not used as a terrorist institution. We have an obligation, dead or alive. You hear that? We have an obligation, dead or alive. That means I'm ready to die for this, for my people, to bequeath to our children something that they can call theirs. So the next time you stumble upon one of these divisive and poisonous videos from these implanted cowards that have been sent by Cameroon to distract you. You have a choice. You have a choice. You want to listen to the cowards, or you want to listen to words of wisdom, inspiration, and hope? You want to listen to something that will uplift you, or you want to listen to something that will drown you? You have a choice. That's something you control. You know why? Because by listening and watching them, you're feeding their egos. When you unsubscribe and you start using your internet, your Wi-Fi, for constructive and progressive purposes, you'll experience a deeper sense of happiness, joy, and purpose, because you will delink yourself from unnecessary stress and unnecessary mental chaos. Next, here's what Ayuk Tabe said. Listen to Siseko Ayuk Tabe. The fight for homeland is existential. You hear that? The fight for the freedom of Ambazonia is existential. It's what? Existential and non-negotiable. You hear that? The fight for homeland is existential and non-negotiable. That's it. That's the message our people are sending to the occupier. Even when they are in captivity, that is a man who's in captivity. That's a man who's been given life imprisonment. He has hope for a free Amazonia. He knows he will walk out of that place as a free man. Because he has faith. He's not delusional. He's a leader. A leader sees the future. Before ordinary eyes can see it. So he's speaking what's already real. Homeland is non-negotiable. Hear that? So, I want to thank Mancho BBC for inspiring a generation of change makers. Do we have that video of Mancho BBC? Do we have that video of Mancho BBC? Please! Play us that video of Mancho BBC.
I hold Bible since morning, no be so? For sure said you want a peaceful protest. When something don't hot picking go pass, you go by Pago Tei. Yes. When I see the police, I don't tell when I say now a friend. The police. So I want to remain peaceful, we will not destroy. The police they here now for we safety, now for we good. They not come for war. They go to sit back. They come back and they stand police not for Kiwi, now for good. Yes, yes. They think we will fight. Even the police they suffer the thing.
All right. We'd like to honor Mancho BBC for the reawakening, for mobilizing the Ambazonian people and the Ambazonian youth, for mobilizing our communities, our people of all walks of life, for inspiring them, for the courage he has shown, and for the leadership he has provided. That's leadership. Even in prison, he's resilient, he's strong, he's defiant. He has served more than half of the 15 years that he's sentenced to. There are so many others. I can't talk about everyone because of limitation of time. I'll talk about a brother and a friend, an advocate and a leader, Abdul Karim. There was a period where there was no leadership on the ground other than the forces. There was no authority figure. That will stand up to the bullies from La Republique. Other than our forces, most Ambazonians were afraid because most are colonial beneficiaries, are beneficiaries of the occupation. They couldn't speak out for our people. One day in Bamenda, a young man, a Muslim scholar, an IT engineer, a business consultant, stood up and said, I will lead, I'll protect, and I'll defend my people. I will lead, I'll protect, I'll defend, and I'll speak on their behalf. Nobody asked him to do it. He was called because of the love he has for the people. Because no man and woman of good conscience can stand by and not say a word. Those with the courage, those who have love for our people, those who have the conviction for a free Ambazonia, for justice, they'll always stand up. They'll always be leaders. And there are so many Ambazonians, some we don't even know their names, that are doing incredible things. Here's what he said. I was abducted to be silenced. Not just because I believe in the self-determination for Southern Cameroon, but because I defend these rights. They picked him up in Bamenda. Number one, to silence him. That's the primary reason. So the best way to shut him off is to send him to jail. Big mistake. Big mistake. Big mistake. Ayuk Tabe is going to come out a much more stronger, more powerful, more determined, more courageous leader with deeper beliefs for the independence and freedom of Amazonia. So it's a big mistake Cameroon is making. Mancho BBC is going to come out to be a stronger, more determined, more committed leader for the freedom of Amazonia than even before he went to jail. The prison is a training ground for leaders because it gives them the space for reflection, development, and refinement. It's a training ground for leaders. We are preparing better leaders that will never take the bullshit, and that will make sure, because they've been through all this pain, they will create a better system and a better society for our people. The Cameroon government declared war on Southern Cameroon. They are the invading bullies, an illegitimate state actor. Listen to the language. Listen to the language. That's someone speaking from Cameroon concentration camp. He's under their captivity. Listen to the language. They declare war on us. They are bullies. They are illegitimate. Their presence in Amazonia is illegitimate. So the burden to call for any ceasefire lies on Cameroon and not on us. That's a leader in jail. God. I am in their captivity just like every other freedom fighter. I don't wish this to anybody. I don't wish anybody to experience the prison conditions I endure. I don't wish any Amazonian to go through this experience again. I am doing this. I am going through this pain and this suffering. I'm enduring all of this because I don't want our people to go through this again. I don't want any Amazonian to ever go through this. That's carrying the burden like Christ on behalf of his people. No wonder they call him Muslim scholar. Like other activists, I have been accused of terrorism and secession. I consider military courts to be incompetent to try a civilian like myself. I've made it known that I'm not going to court. I want to be tried in a civilian court in my Bamenda hometown where I was arrested. Okay? Fellow Amazonians, my heart reading the story of these brave men, of these brothers, reading their stories. I feel a deep connection to their sacrifices, their belief for our homeland, their belief for the future of Ambazonia, their belief for our freedom. If they wonder what they did inside prison, if you think and get this kind level of belief, then you will expect so much more for the one way they did outside, right? If they wonder what they did for prison, they feel think about the collective survival. The pain of the picking the way they did for refugee camps, the one who don't be displaced, the pain of our mammy them, they don't kill their picking them, burn their houses. If the one way they did for inside prison, they reason and think, say, make a sacrifice myself so that it not ever happen for other Ambazonians. So that maybe we would go through this experience, will be the last people forever go through this. So that for the people, the rest of their future, they will get a better life. What about the one who they did for outside? You see the difference? So for our brothers, from the General Benji would he take the concrete steps? Would he make the necessary sacrifice? Make sure, say, very soon, we not only come out of those concentration camps, but we not come home to a free homeland. The work would do a factor in all una pain and una sacrifices. So we thank una plenty. Say under those very difficult conditions, una show you the best of which Ambazonia fi be. Under very terrible circumstances, una don't show you the best of which you are people that fi be. And which you are people that fi look forward to. My brother Mancho BBC, my brother Ayuk Tabe Julius, my brother Abdul Karim. There are so many leaders for prison. We'll do more of this for dedicate time, for honor every one of us, for our courage. Make we live una with this video of Abdul Karim, the kind of leadership will be show them on the ground when we people that need a leader, we be there for them. Make we live una with these words of the Muslim scholar, this brave man who will pay this price for our collective freedom. Thank you plenty. And get a good morning and good night for the rest of una. We'll talk tomorrow. We could live now with these words from my brother Abdul Karim.
From God we came, and to God is our return. Make some person not should we begin. Should we born at the inside things say get that power. That begin don't die now because God don't live. But it is a coward
who leaves the adults in battle to shoot at infants. It is the loser and the invader who kills innocent children coming back from school. 500 francs. Francophone children commit murder in school. They do gang sex in school. They stab at other students in schools. They attack their own teachers in schools. Southern Cameroonians have not done this. Yet, they have not been fired by their own bullets. People are shot for one reason. Because they are Southern Cameroonians. Full stop.
Allahu Akbar. 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 Allah. Ya Allah. Ya Allah. Ya Allah. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar.
Allah special loyalty. Praise to our Savior who granted us the free. Never to the hero who God alone we gather. Glory to glory, we rise and never to fall. Here in a nation, flowing with earth and holy. Glory, glory, glory to the Father for making you a nation, a joy forevermore. Ambazonia, land of freedom, you shall live in plenty, meet in our need. And your children shall be like the stars above. The Most High God being the watchman of this nation. Ambazonia, land of freedom, you shall live in plenty, meet in our need. And your children shall be like the stars above. The Most High God being the watchman of this nation.
Welcome to ACN.